In the kingdom of Arvis, adventurers were ranked by letter. F-rank adventurers killed slimes and bragged about it. C-rank adventurers cleared goblin nests and bragged louder. A-rank adventurers fought dragons, demons, cursed knights, and sometimes each other over loot. Then there were SSS-class adventurers. They were the kind of people kingdoms wrote emergency laws around. Among them was a healer. His name was Renvelmer, known across the continent as Ren the Perfect Stitch, also known as the White Devil of the Battlefield, also known as that healer you should absolutely be polite to. Ren wore a long white traveling coat with silver threads stitched through the sleeves. He carried no sword, no staff, and no holy symbol. He walked alone from town to town with one bag over his shoulder and the relaxed expression of a man who had already decided most people were disappointing. He could heal anything: broken bones, severed limbs, poisoned blood, burned lungs, crushed organs. He could restart a heart with 2 fingers and a bored sigh. He could reattach a head, though he considered that annoying and avoidable. Ren had one rule, a very simple rule. He would heal anyone, no matter who they were, no matter how stupid they had been, no matter how badly they had insulted him. But if they belittled him first, he still healed them. He just did not always put everything back where tradition suggested it should go. Ren had not always been like that. Years ago, he was a quiet apprentice at the Grand Cathedral of Luria. Back then, he believed healing was sacred. He believed adventurers protected the weak. He believed that if he worked hard, people would respect him. Then he joined his first party. They were called the Golden Fong, a famous A-rank group led by a swordsman named Varric Goldmane. Varric was tall, handsome, rich, and built entirely out of confidence he had not earned. "You're the healer," Varric said on Ren's first quest. "Stay behind us. Don't talk unless someone is bleeding." Ren nodded. On that quest, Varric was stabbed through the stomach by a wyvern tail. The mage's arms were broken. The rogue was poisoned. The shield-bearer briefly died and tried to walk toward a glowing doorway before Ren dragged his soul back by force. Ren healed all of them, perfectly. Afterward, Varric said, "You did your job. Don't expect praise for breathing." The others laughed. Ren smiled politely. The next week, they abandoned him in a dungeon because they thought the treasure room was trapped and wanted someone replaceable to check it. It was trapped 17 times. Ren survived by healing himself through every spike, curse, poison dart, acid spray, gravity well, and one extremely personal fireball. By the time he crawled out 3 days later, covered in blood, soot, and cursed mushrooms, something inside him had changed. Not his skill. That improved. Not his kindness. That stayed mostly. What changed was his patience. It died in that dungeon. Ren, despite being the greatest healer alive, chose not to revive it. 5 years later, Ren walked into the town of Belwick with a travel bag over one shoulder and a meat skewer in his hand. Belwick was an adventure town built beside the Blackroot Labyrinth. It had 3 inns, 1 guild hall, 12 weapon shops, and enough idiots in armor to start a small war by accident. Ren liked it immediately. Outside the guild hall, a wooden board listed available party requests. Party seeks healer. Must be obedient. Ren ignored it. Party seeks healer. Must not complain. Ren ignored it harder. Party seeks healer. Payment after loot distribution. Ren physically turned the board around so he did not have to see it anymore. Inside the guild hall, the receptionist looked up. "Name?" "Renvelmer." Her pen snapped in half. The room went silent. A man at the bar dropped his mug. Someone whispered, "That's him." Another whispered, "The SSS healer?" A third whispered, "My cousin said he healed a knight's legs backward." Ren looked over. "That is false." The room relaxed. Ren added, "It was only one leg." The room became silent again. The receptionist swallowed. "Are you registering with a party?" "I'm passing through," Ren said. "Need lodging money. Anyone going into Blackroot?" A huge warrior stood up. He had a shaved head, a square jaw, and an axe big enough to qualify as architecture. "Our party needs a healer." Ren looked at him. The warrior thumped his chest. Goran Stonejaw, leader of Iron Thunder. B rank, soon to be A rank. Behind him stood 3 others. A red-haired mage in expensive robes. A dagger-wielding rogue with lazy eyes and quick hands. A blonde archer polishing her bow while looking like she had never apologized sincerely in her life. Ren glanced at them. Terms. Goran grinned. You heal. We fight. You get 1 share. Equal share. The mage laughed. For a healer? The archer smirked. You stand in the back and wave your hands. The rogue shrugged. Honestly, 1 share is generous. Ren chewed his meat skewer. The receptionist slowly shook her head, silently begging them to stop. Goran leaned closer. Don't worry, bandage boy. We'll protect you. The entire guild inhaled. Ren looked at him. Bandage boy. Goran laughed. What? You prefer potion clerk? The receptionist whispered. Oh no. Ren finished his skewer and dropped the stick into a nearby cup. 1 share, he said. Fine. The Blackroot Labyrinth was a massive underground ruin, full of black trees growing upside down from the ceiling. Iron Thunder marched in confidently. Ren followed with his hands in his pockets. For the first hour, everything went smoothly. Goran smashed skeletons. The mage burned spiders. The rogue disarmed traps. The archer shot goblins. Ren did very little. That annoyed them. The mage looked back after the 3rd chamber. Are you planning to contribute? No one is injured, Ren said. So I'm a healer. You could at least carry bags. Ren looked at her enchanted bag floating beside her. Then he looked back at her. She clicked her tongue and turned away. A few minutes later, Goran stepped on a pressure plate. The wall opened. A stone fist the size of a horse punched him into a pillar. His shoulder shattered. Ren walked over, placed 2 fingers on the injury, and closed it with a small pulse of white light. Goran rolled his shoulder. Not bad. Ren said nothing. Later, a venomous root snake bit the archer's ankle. Lena turned pale and collapsed. Ren crouched beside her, pressed his palm to the wound, and pulled black poison out of her blood like smoke. She sat up, breathing hard. That was quick. Ren said nothing. The rogue misjudged a blade trap and lost 3 fingers. Ren picked them up, wiped dust off them, and reattached them perfectly. The rogue flexed his hand. Nice. Ren said nothing. The mage walked face first into a warded door and started bleeding from her nose. Ren healed it. She sniffed. That all you do? Little fixes. Ren looked at her. Usually enough. She laughed. By the time they reached the deepest floor, Iron Thunder had decided Ren was useful but unimpressive. A good tool. A convenient backup. A walking medical kit with a bad attitude. Then they reached the boss door. It was 40 feet tall, made of black stone and wrapped in roots thicker than ship ropes. Behind it, something breathed slowly enough to shake dust from the ceiling. Goran rolled his neck. All right, this is where real adventurers work. Ren looked at the door. Need me inside? The mage snorted. Inside? Why? Lena smiled. You've done enough. Stay back and patch us up if someone gets scratched. The rogue gave Ren an apologetic shrug, but still stepped forward with the others. Goran pointed his axe at Ren. Stay out of the way. This is a boss fight, not a clinic. Ren stared at him for a moment. Then he leaned against the doorway. Sure. Goran grinned. Iron Thunder pushed open the doors and marched inside. The boss chamber was enormous. Black roots covered the walls. Bones carpeted the floor. A throne of twisted wood rose at the far end. Sitting on it was the dungeon boss, the Blackroot Ogre Lord. It was twice the size of a normal ogre, covered in bark armor, glowing fungus, iron chains, and old scars. Its club was not really a club. It was a tree that had been convinced to become a crime. Goran raised his axe. Iron Thunder. Formation. The ogre moved. Not fast. Instant. 1 second it was sitting on the throne. The next it was in front of Goran. The club came down. Goran disappeared into the floor. His axe flew into the ceiling. His left leg went one direction. His right boot went another. The mage screamed and raised her staff. The ogre backhanded her across the room. She bounced off the wall. Her staff landed near the door. Her arm landed on top of it a second later, still gripping it. The rogue vanished into shadow. The ogre reached into the shadow and pulled him out by the collar. The rogue blinked. That's rude. The ogre punched him through a pillar. Lena fired 3 arrows. All 3 bounced off the ogre's chest. The ogre turned toward her. Lena lowered her bow. No hard feelings? The ogre kicked her into the wall. The chamber went quiet. 4 adventurers lay scattered around the boss room in far more than 4 pieces. Ren stood in the doorway. He sighed. I did ask. Gorin lifted one trembling hand from a crater. Healer. Ren stepped into the room. The ogre turned toward him. Ren removed his white coat and folded it neatly over a broken pillar. The mage, barely conscious, stared at him. What are you doing? Ren loosened his gloves. Working. The ogre roared and swung its club. Ren stepped into the blow. For one instant, pale white light ran beneath his skin like veins of lightning. The club hit him. The floor cracked. The walls shook. Ren's boots slid back half an inch. Nothing else moved. The rogue, half buried under rubble, stared. Gorin forgot how to breathe. Ren lifted one hand and pressed his fingers against the ogre's wrist. There was no chant, no spell circle, just a small pulse of light. The ogre's arm locked stiff. Ren twisted. Bone, bark, and muscle gave way at once. The ogre roared. Ren was already inside its guard. A knee to the ribs, palm under the jaw, 2 fingers to the shoulder joint. Every hit landed exactly where a body was weakest. Not wild strength, not swordsmanship. Something cleaner, something medical. The ogre tried to back away. Ren followed. His hands glowed brighter now, white with a faint blue edge, the color of moonlight on steel. The ogre swung its broken arm. Ren ducked under it and struck the monster's knee. The joint snapped. The ogre dropped. Ren stepped onto its thigh, ran up its chest, and drove his palm into the side of its head. The blast shook the whole chamber. The ogre crashed sideways through 3 stone pillars. Gorin watched from the floor, pale and silent. The mage's mouth hung open. Lena, still stuck in the wall, whispered, he could fight. The rogue coughed blood. No, that was not fighting. That was surgery with impact. The ogre lord dragged itself upright and let out a furious roar. Black roots burst from the floor and lashed toward Ren. He walked through them. The first root struck his shoulder. White light flashed under his skin. The root snapped. The second wrapped around his arm. Ren flexed his fingers. The root tore apart. The third shot toward his face. Ren caught it between 2 fingers and pulled. Every root connected to it ripped from the floor at once. The ogre lord stumbled. Ren vanished. He appeared above the monster's head, one hand raised. For a heartbeat, the room was silent. Then his palm came down. The impact flattened the ogre into the floor. A circular shockwave blasted through the chamber. The root throne split in half. The boss lay motionless in a crater, unconscious and twitching. Ren landed beside it. He looked down. Poor posture. Then he turned back to the party. The light faded from his hands. His white coat fluttered from the broken pillar. His expression was calm, mildly disappointed. Now, Ren said, looking at the scattered limbs across the floor. Who belongs to what? No one answered at first. They were too busy bleeding, groaning, or reconsidering every life choice that had led them here. Ren walked to the entrance and picked up Gorin's severed leg. Gorin's eyes widened. Wait, Ren. Great Ren. Honored Ren. Heroic Ren. Ren inspected the leg. This one yours? Yes. You sure? Yes. Ren looked across the room. Lena. How many legs did you enter with? Lena coughed from inside the wall. 2. Ren nodded. Good. We are establishing baselines. The mage groaned. Just heal us properly. Ren turned to her. Properly? Yes. Ren walked over and picked up her arm, which was still gripping her staff. You mean with the same care and professional respect given to a healer who stands in the back and waves his little hands? The mage went pale. The rogue, despite being in extreme pain, whispered, "Oh no." Ren smiled. It was a medical smile. Clean, calm, terrifying. "Do not worry," Ren said. "Nobody dies on my watch." He attached the mage's arm. White light flowed through flesh and bone. The wound sealed instantly. The nerves connected. The blood moved. Her fingers twitched. Perfect healing. The mage gasped in relief. Then she froze. Her arm was attached backward. Her palm faced the wrong way. Her elbow bent like it had lost an argument with anatomy. She stared at it. Ren nodded approvingly. "Functional. My arm is backward. And yet your grip strength is excellent. Fix it." Ren looked thoughtful. "I could." The mage swallowed. Ren crouched beside her. "But first I am trying to remember. Was I useless? Or was I only unnecessary?" She bowed so hard her forehead hit the floor. "You are not useless. You are the greatest healer in the kingdom. Possibly the world. My blood loss has made me honest." Ren nodded. "Acceptable first draft." He moved to Goran. Goran was sweating. Ren lifted the severed leg. Goran pointed nervously. "That goes on the left." Ren looked at the stump, then at the leg, then at Goran. "Does it?" "Yes." "Interesting. Earlier you said this was a boss fight, not a clinic." Goran's voice cracked. "I was wrong." Ren attached the leg. Goran screamed. Not from pain. There was no pain. Ren was too good for that. He screamed because his leg was now perfectly healed onto the correct side. But the foot was facing backward. Ren stood. "There. Now you can retreat while maintaining eye contact." The rogue started laughing. Then he coughed blood and stopped. Ren turned to him. The rogue immediately looked serious. "For the record," the rogue said, "I have always supported equal pay for healers." Ren crouched beside him. "You laughed when he called me bandage boy." "I was laughing at the tension in the room." Ren picked up the rogue's displaced shoulder and pressed it back into place. The rogue exhaled in relief. Then he reached for his dagger. His hand slapped his own face. He blinked. Ren had swapped his left and right arms. The rogue stared. Ren stared back. The rogue slowly nodded. "Honestly, fair." Finally, Ren walked over to Lena. She was still stuck in the wall up to her waist. Lena looked away. "I said you had done enough." "You did." "I implied you were only useful for scratches." "You did." "I regret the phrasing." Ren grabbed her by the ankle and pulled her out of the wall with a wet stone cracking sound. She flopped onto the floor. Ren healed her ribs, spine, and internal bleeding. Perfectly. Then he paused. Lena opened one eye. "What did you do?" Ren stood. "Nothing." She sat up. Everything seemed normal. She checked her arms. Normal. Legs. Normal. Face. Normal. She sighed in relief. Then she sneezed. An arrow shot out of her mouth and embedded itself in the wall. Everyone stared. Lena slowly touched her throat. Ren said, "You are now technically a ranged weapon." "That is not healing. It is preventative. You keep dropping your bow." Goran crawled toward him, dragging his backward foot across the floor. "Please. We apologize. Fix us." Ren looked down at them. The boss chamber was silent except for groaning, dripping blood, and Lena accidentally firing another arrow when she hiccuped. Ren folded his arms. "Equal share." "Yes," Goran said instantly. "Written contract?" "Yes. No calling healers luggage, parasites, bandage boys, backline deadweight, potion clerks, walking bandages, emergency furniture, or loot tax?" "Yes." Ren looked at the mage. She nodded violently. Ren looked at the rogue. He raised both swapped hands. "I support this agreement." Ren looked at Lena. She opened her mouth. Ren held up one finger. "Careful." She closed her mouth and gave a thumbs up. Ren sighed. White light filled the chamber. Bones rotated back. Limbs shifted correctly. Arms returned to their proper owners. Feet faced forward. Lena coughed once, and only air came out. A minute later, Iron Thunder lay fully restored on the floor. No scars, no pain, no missing parts, no dignity. Ren picked up his coat and brushed dust off the sleeve. Then he walked toward the treasure chest near the broken root throne. Goran sat up. The loot! Ren stopped. The entire party froze. He looked back. Were you about to negotiate? Goran's mouth closed. The mage shook her head quickly. The rogue pretended to be dead. Lena gave a silent thumbs up. Ren opened the chest. Gold, mana crystals, a black steel dagger, 3 enchanted rings, 1 fist-sized blue gem glowing with dungeon light. Ren counted 1 equal share. Then he took the blue gem. Goran twitched. Ren looked at him. Goran smiled painfully. Hazard pay. Ren pocketed the gem. Correct. When Iron Thunder returned to Belwick, the whole guild noticed something was different. Goran walked carefully, as if grateful his feet faced the same direction. The mage held both arms close to her chest and kept whispering, "Forward, backward, forward, backward." The rogue kept checking which hand was which. Lena refused to open her mouth near windows. Ren entered last, clean, calm, and carrying the boss core in one hand. The receptionist looked from him to Iron Thunder. Successful quest? Ren placed the boss core on the counter. Yes. She looked at Goran. Goran stood straight. Ren Velmer is to receive equal share. Hazard pay, meal expenses, lodging expenses, and a formal apology. The guild went silent. The receptionist blinked. A formal apology? Goran turned to Ren. Then he bowed. Deeply. I apologize for calling you Bandage Boy. The mage bowed next. I apologize for calling your role easy. The rogue bowed. I apologize for laughing at the tension. Lena bowed with her mouth firmly closed. Ren watched them. Then he nodded once. Accepted. The guild exploded into whispers. Someone at the job board quietly removed a notice that said, "Healer wanted. Must know their place." Another adventurer crossed out the word cheap in cheap healer needed for dungeon raid. A third began writing, "Respectful party seeks medical professional. Equal pay. Please do not rearrange organs." Ren collected his money. The receptionist leaned forward. Will you be staying in Belwick? Ren looked around the guild. Every adventurer immediately looked away. Someone hid behind a barrel. Someone else sat on a job posting so Ren could not read it. Ren smiled faintly. For a few days. The receptionist nodded. I'll prepare a room. As Ren turned to leave, a young F-rank adventurer rushed into the guild hall. She wore cheap leather armor. Her wooden shield was cracked. Her eyes were red from crying. Please, she said, breathless. Is there a healer here? No one spoke. She looked around desperately. My friend's leg is infected. We got hurt near the old well. We don't have much money. But please, he's burning up and I don't know what to do. Ren stopped. His expression changed. Not softer exactly. Quieter. Where is he? The girl looked at him. At the old stable. Ren walked toward the door. She hurried after him. I can't pay much. I didn't ask. She hesitated. You'll heal him? Yes. Correctly. Ren looked at her. Was he rude to me? No. Then obviously correctly. The old stable smelled like hay, rain, and sickness. A boy about 16 lay on a blanket in the corner. His leg was swollen and black-veined from infection. His breathing was shallow. His hands shook. Ren knelt beside him. The young girl hovered nearby, wringing her hands. Can you save him? Ren placed 2 fingers on the boy's leg. White light spread beneath the skin. The black veins faded. The swelling went down. The fever broke. The wound closed cleanly. The boy inhaled sharply and opened his eyes. My leg. Still yours, Ren said. Try to keep it. The girl covered her mouth and started crying. The boy sat up slowly. I can't pay you. Ren stood. Boil your water. Clean wounds immediately. Do not fight anything with more teeth than you. The girl bowed again and again. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ren waved it away and walked back into the street. Behind him, the boy flexed his healed leg and cried quietly into his hands. No jokes, no wrong limbs, no punishment, just perfect healing. Because Ren did not hate adventurers. He hated arrogance. There was a difference. That night, Ren sat alone on the roof of the inn, eating another meat skewer while looking over Belwick. The town glowed with lantern light. The Blackroot Labyrinth loomed in the distance. Somewhere below, Iron Thunder was probably writing apology letters and checking their joints. Ren took another bite. A voice called from the roof access. You always travel alone? It was the receptionist. Ren glanced back. Usually. Because of what happened with the Golden Fong? Ren stopped chewing. She raised both hands. Guild records. Not gossip. Ren looked back at the town. They taught me something useful. What? That some people only respect healers after they need one. The receptionist sat a safe distance away. And the rest? Ren watched the lanterns flicker. The rest are why I still do the job. For a while, neither of them spoke. Then shouting erupted from the street below. A drunk adventurer stumbled out of a tavern and yelled, "Healers are overpriced." The entire street went silent. 3 people tackled him at once. Someone hissed, "Are you trying to get your knees swapped?" Ren looked down. The receptionist sighed. "You made an impression." Ren finished his skewer. Good. The next morning, another party would need him. Another swordsman would call him useless. Another mage would say healing was easy. Another warrior would learn that fully restored, and restored correctly, were 2 very different services. Renvelmer would heal them anyway, because he was the best healer alive, because nobody died on his watch, and because sometimes justice looked exactly like a man waking up with his foot facing the wrong way.